Hello and welcome to my presentation on cheap solutions to record high definition music on an iPad or an iPhone. I'm Morrie and I spent 30 years of my career with Apple Computer. I have over 70 years of musical experience. I started taking piano lessons when I was 6 years old. I currently have 206 music YouTubes published, which I started 6 years ago back in 2014. I also have 39 songs that I have published and I sell on iTunes and Pandora. And I have a doctorate degree in public service, hence my desire to put together this YouTube to try to help some people. Here's the challenge. How do you record high quality audio into GarageBand on an old or a new iPhone or iPad without spending a lot of money on expensive hardware? Our iPhones and our iPads are not cheap. The new ones cost anywhere between $399 and $1,400 for a phone, and I'm spending between $329 and $1,649 for the brand new iPad. So a lot of people don't have a lot of money left over to spend on fancy technology. Let me cut right to the quick. Here are the 5 things I think you ought to consider. The iRig Pre, and I'm going to tell you all about these. The Apple Lightning to headphone jack, the Apple Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter, the Audio-Technica M4000S microphone, and over-the-ear headphones. I'll describe each in some detail. Let me start with this thing called the iRig Pre. It's by a company called IK Multimedia. It cost only $39.99. You can buy it right now online Amazon. This is how I plug in my electric guitars and my MIDI keyboards and my microphones. Let me go through it with you. It's XLR for those non-technical people. That's the cable that has the 3 little plugs that look like this. And these are high quality. They don't have noise and hum. That's why we love to use them for our microphones. And here's the cable that I have. So here is the 3-prong XLR, and that plugs right into the bottom of my iRig. This end goes into my microphone. And there are hundreds, probably thousands of XLR microphones on the market. And you can spend anywhere between $25 and $20,000 for a microphone. Once you plug it into GarageBand, you are presented with a page that looks like this, where you will have very precise control of how that microphone operates. So my message is, don't waste money on expensive microphones. Here's a Sony, $15,000. Here's one for $20,000. Oh, by the way, this is the only one in the world, and it's currently in Russia, so I doubt you're going to buy it. But my point is, most people are going to listen to recordings like YouTube's with the built-in speakers or maybe some cheap headphones or cheap speakers. So don't waste money on fancy exotic microphones. Nobody will hear it. Here's what I think you ought to consider buying. And by the way, this YouTube is for rank beginners, people who are just beginning to think about, maybe I'll use YouTube music and I'll use my iPhone and GarageBand to record it. Beginners, not professionals. You'll only pay 49 cents for this XLR microphone. You can buy it right now on Amazon. These are my 2 workhorses. This is my XLR $49 one. This is my, what I'll call my good one. This is a standard in the industry. There are thousands of professional musicians all over the world that use this mic every day and every night. It's the Shure SM58. And it only cost $100. Now, granted, that's twice as much as this. But if you have a little more money to burn, yeah, you could get a better microphone. But don't go beyond that, because nobody's going to hear it. You'll be spending for technology and capabilities that people can't hear, typically with their iPhones or their iPads, unless they have $600 headphones or $1,000 speakers, and most won't. So I want to plug in my electric guitar into my iPhone. How do I do that? Well, here's how. I take my electric guitar cable and I plug that into the iRig. Now, all of you electric guitar players know that these are the cables that we have been using forever. It's the 1/4-inch regular guitar cable. Unfortunately, the iRig has an XLR cable connection. So this cable won't plug into that. How am I going to make that work? The answer is I buy another cable. Here is my XLR cable on one end, and the other end has my guitar plug. So this goes into the iRig, this goes into my electric guitar, and I paid $8 on Amazon for that. So there's your answer. Cheap solution. Even cheaper solution, you've already got your 1/4-inch guitar cables. Buy this little gizmo. It's only about 4 inches long. Your guitar plugs in this end. The other end plugs right into the iRig. So here is a little $4 converter that lets you use those guitar cables you already own. Let's look at the iRig itself. It has a 9-volt battery in it, by the way, so you can carry this anywhere. You can go out on the beach in the middle of nowhere and record in your phone with a microphone. This is what plugs into your phone connection on your iPhone or your iPad. It's the 1/4 or the 1/8 inch stereo TRRS. That's a technical term. There are 4 wires inside this. That's why this has 4 connectors. And this plugs into the headphone jack on your iPhone or your iPad. So that's how you get in. But, big problem, the new iPhones don't have a headphone jack as the older ones did. When did that happen? Well, it happened back in 2016. When Apple introduced the iPhone 7, they eliminated the headphone jack. And all iPhones since 2016 have not had a headphone jack. So how am I going to plug an iRig Pre when there's no headphone jack? Here's the answer. This little $9 gizmo from Apple. The Apple Lightning to headphone jack adapter. So you plug your headphone in this end, and this end you stick right in the Lightning connector on your iPhone, and you're good to go. $9. How do you plug a MIDI USB synthesizer keyboard into an iPhone or an iPad? I went out and did a little research, and currently these are considered the 10 best USB MIDI keyboards on the market today. And I won't spend any time talking about them. All I want you to know is all of the popular MIDI keyboards out there come with a USB connection on the back of them today because people want to plug them right into their Macintosh or their Dell or their laptop computers. Now, of course, people like you and I want to plug them into our iPhones and our iPads, and I'm about to go there with you. But iPhones and iPads don't have a USB connector. They have Lightning connectors. And here's my string of old phones, and all of these have a Lightning connector. So the question, how do I convert a USB cable to a Lightning cable? And the answer is you buy one of these from Apple. It's called the Apple Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter. Now don't be bothered by this word camera. Trust me, there's a lot of other things that plug into this besides a camera. I've never used this for a camera. I use it strictly with my musical devices, so the name is a little bit misleading. $39, you can log on right now in the Apple online store and have it shipped to you. You want this thing. USB plugs in right here. The other end is Lightning, so this does all of the conversion for you. Let me show you a little video here of Morrie plugging in his keyboard. I'm going to show you how I connect my MIDI keyboard up to an iPhone using the Lightning to camera adapter. Here is the USB cable that is connected into my MIDI keyboard. And those top 10 MIDI keyboards all have a USB cable. So I'm going to take my USB cable and plug that into my Lightning camera adapter. And what I have done is I have changed the connection down to a Lightning connection. And now I'm going to take my iPhone, which has a Lightning connection on it, plug that in, and I'm done. That's how I connect a USB MIDI keyboard up to an iPhone or an iPad. Thank you, Morrie. But wait, what if you only have regular MIDI cable connections on the back of your keyboard? What if you don't have USB? Here is my Yamaha Clavinova. I bought this all the way back in 2001, so it's 19 years old. It has regular MIDI cable connections on the back. But quite frankly, Apple didn't even introduce USB until the year 2012. So when I bought this, nobody even knew about USB. So how could I plug this into my phone? The answer is you need another cable. Here is my USB to MIDI cable. So one end of it is USB. The other end is the traditional old 1983 standard MIDI cable connectors. And it cost me $13. You can buy it online right now from Amazon. So here's the story. Here's my iPhone. I plug in my Lightning camera adapter into the Lightning connector. I plug this new cable, the $13 MIDI, so this USB connection goes into my Lightning connector. And then the other one, the MIDI, plugs right into the back of my Clavinova, my Yamaha synthesizer. Okay? So with this setup, I can take any old keyboard synthesizer that had regular old-fashioned MIDI cable connections and plug it into my iPhone. No problem. Let's listen to another story about Morrie. How do you get sound out of your synthesizer into your iPhone? Now I want to show you how I get the sound out of my keyboard into GarageBand on my iPad. This cable is the sound out coming out of my keyboard. And it is plugged into my iRig. And I happen to be using the very same cable that I use to plug in an electric guitar. So from the iRig, of course, it goes directly into my iPad. All right? Now, I've hooked up some speakers to my iPad so that you can hear what's going on. So let me back this up and start a recording. And it sounds like this. And that's a pipe organ. Sound coming out, going into the iPad. So now let me back it up, call up the iPad, and here's what we have. organ and all of its glories. So that's how I get sound out of a keyboard into GarageBand on an iPad or an iPhone. Thank you, Morrie. Actually, I have a third mic that I often use, and truth be told, it's the best mic I own. It's a USB microphone. These microphones were designed to plug right into our computers without any interfaces needed whatsoever. That's the cable, a regular standard USB. So how do I get this USB cable or microphone to plug in? By the way, it's about a $230 microphone. These are shock mounts. This is so no sound vibrations come up through the holder and enter into the microphone. This is a regular studio grade microphone, and it's by a company called Rode. Their microphones go all the way up to $17,000 in case you have a little extra money. Okay, the answer is I use this same old Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter. So this USB plug coming out of my microphone goes right here in the Lightning to USB converter. And of course the other end is Lightning, and that plugs into my phone. So even though when I bought this I didn't have an iPhone, but now I do, so I need this device to go into my new iPhone. Works like a champ. So this Lightning camera adapter allows me to plug in any USB MIDI keyboard or any USB microphone directly into my iPhone or my iPad. So those are the three gizmos. And if you own these, you could plug in any quality XLR microphone using the iRig. You could plug in any quality USB microphone using the camera adapter. You could plug in an electric guitar or a bass guitar into your iRig. You could plug in a USB MIDI keyboard into your iPhone or iPad. Or you could record any sound out of any synthesizer or keyboard directly into your iPhone using the iRig. Okay? That's a lot of versatility. There's not much I can't plug in. These are all my old iPads and iPhones going all the way back to the Apple IIIG. Let me go through them and talk about what does the iRig, what is it compatible with? What does it work with? Actually, I fired up my old 3G phone, which I bought in 2008. It doesn't have GarageBand. That didn't exist. You can't run it. It's audio only. There was no video camera in this phone. It was simply a still camera. But I have audio recording software, and through the headphone jack, I can record audio using my headphone jack connector. My iPhone 4, which I bought in 2010, has GarageBand running in it. I fired it up to check it, and I use the headphone jack to plug in. My iPhone S, which I bought in 2013, it runs GarageBand, and it has a headphone jack, so my iRig plugs right into it. My iPad Air, which I also bought in 2013, runs GarageBand and has a headphone jack into which I can plug the iRig. My iPhone 8 Plus, which I bought in 2017, does not have a headphone jack. It only has a Lightning connector. But as you have seen with my iRig, I can convert that and plug it in. The new iPhone 11, which we bought last year, has a Lightning connector, so I can plug my iRig into that lightning connector. And the iPad Air, which we also bought last year, also has a headphone jack, so the iRig Pre plugs right into it. So what this slide shows is all of my old phones work with the iRig Pre. But will the iRig Pre work with the newest iPhones and iPads? Here are the newest iPads. And yes, the iRig Pre works with all of them. Here are the newest iPhones. They all have lightning connectors, and yes, the iRig Pre works with all of them. Now, if you are a singer or you play an acoustical instrument and you put your microphone close to it, you want to go out and buy yourself a set of over-the-ear headphones, because as you're listening to the music, you don't want the music to bleed into your microphone. When you're singing, your lips may only be 4 or 5 inches from the mic, and you don't want any sound at all to escape these headphones, because it will bleed into your microphone and it will mess up and muddy up your recording. So over the ear, because you need to completely seal off the sound so it goes only in your ear and does not escape into the mic. Here are a couple that I can recommend. Audio-Technica, great company. I've used their products for years. Here's a pair of $45 over-the-ear headphones that work great. I've owned a pair for a number of years. If you don't have $45, how about $15? This is Panasonic, another good name. Over the ears, the tech specs on this far exceed anything that a human can hear. So this can produce sounds beyond your ability to hear them. So that's what I recommend you go out and buy. A lightning to camera adapter, get an iRig Pre, get the little lightning to headphone jack, buy yourself an XLR mic, however much you can afford. Don't overspend, because most people will not hear the quality you put in it. And if you're a singer or an acoustic instrument player, you're going to want an over-the-ear headphones. So if you did all of this, what could you record into GarageBand on an iPhone with these devices? And the answer is, if it makes a sound, you can record it. If it's a MIDI device, a MIDI guitar, a MIDI violin, a MIDI keyboard, a MIDI flute, you can plug in and send that MIDI right into GarageBand. If it's an acoustic instrument, a flute, a saxophone, a viola, a trombone, a harp, a piano, you just plug your microphone in and you're good to go. And of course, if you're a singer, you plug in your mic and you're good to go. You could go into a cathedral with your little iPhone in your lap and a little XLR microphone plugged into it, and you could record a pipe organ in a great cathedral. Because remember, you don't need any electricity. Your iPhone's battery powered. Your iRig Pre has a little 9-volt battery in it. You are good to go and record anywhere, anytime, anywhere on earth. So, if you've got a real GarageBand, or you're thinking about it, this technology that I've described will allow you to use an iPhone or an iRig, iPad, to plug into. If you're a solo performer, a bass guitar player, or a singer or electric guitar, this technology will let you plug right into your phone. If you're a keyboard player, a MIDI keyboard or a synthesizer, you can plug any and all of those devices in. If you're a choir, or a quartet or a quintet, and you want to record yourself in high quality and share that or put it up on YouTube, you're going to want decent microphones running into your iPhone. Or even if you're a professional organization, such as a string quartet, and you want high quality, you may spend more on the microphones, but the point is, your little iPhone or your little iPad is technology enough to do those recordings. So that's my message. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get high quality digital audio recorded into your iPhone and your iPad. Goodbye and be well.